Namaste, my friend. Welcome to the Bhakti Yoga conference hosted here at Harvard Divinity School. My name is Happy Jack, the founder of Happy Jack Yoga University and a master's student here at the Divinity School. And this is a conference with the theme Grace in the Age of Distraction. And really, it's an opportunity to bring in different voices, people who are practicing Bhakti Yoga sincerely, sometimes for decades, sometimes, for a shorter period of time, but they have some meaningful life experience to share. We've got monks, scholars, musicians, people from all walks of life. And today we've got a very special guest. If you have questions, as always, please, share those. We're going to do a Q&A at the end. As of now, we've got over 3,500 registrations for the conference. And, thank you for those who have registered, who are watching the recording, and huge thanks to those who are here live with us. I'm going to spotlight our speaker while we say a few words about Hemarupa Caitanya Prabhu. So Hemarupa Caitanya Das was born and brought up in Malaysia. His family is originally from Kerala, India. He has a master's degree in electrical power engineering from the University of Tenaga Nasional. Later, he worked as a lecturer there before moving to India in 2012 on a yearly basis. By nature, he loves languages, cultures, and traditional arts. By trait, he's a writer, a public speaker, and a debater, both styles of the British parliamentary and Australasians. In recent times, he has decided to serve society by providing anti-addiction advice, moral education, and social services. Currently, he serves the rural education program at Govardhan Eco Village and reaches out to local villagers, kids, schools through the rural education program, benefiting tribal schools in Wada, Vikramgad, Jahwar, and Mokada. And just to say a couple of words myself, so many of you know, I spent last summer at the Govardhan Eco Village, was there for 9 weeks. And, every day there was a different monk that gave us a class in the morning, and they were all fantastic. They all had, such wisdom and grounding in the Shastric texts. But there was something about Hemarupa Caitanya Prabhu. There was something about the way that he delivered his classes that were quite expert. And of course, I later found out he was a professor at University of Engineering. So he had some experience in teaching. And not only was he an excellent teacher, but I found that he, in the morning, there's always a morning program where we're doing our worship and our chanting and our practice, our sadhana. And I noticed he also had a little bit of a singing voice. So if we're lucky, maybe we get him to share a few mantras, a few rounds of something. But we're super inspired to have you here with us. The title of today's session is Social Spiritual Initiatives at Govardhan Rural Development. It's really a nice addition to what we did yesterday with Gauranga Prabhu. So my friends, if you are ready to get started with Hemarupa Caitanya Prabhu, please throw your arms in the air and loudly chant Haribol. Beautiful. So happy to have you here. I got to say, Ian, I always see you just full out throw your arms in the air and you're like ready to go. Prabhu, thank you so much for being here with us.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Very happy to meet with Happy Jack. And he kind of set me up for a lot under an hour. So you got me singing. Hope it doesn't get me dancing.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was just in that was at the GEV just a couple months ago in January, and part of our morning practice is dancing. And I remember we were running over by the Madan Mohan temple, and we were running up the hill towards the temple, and you said something to me like, "How do you like our yoga?" Is that basically showing in the West we think yoga is getting on a sticky mat. And we were just like running around and chanting and dancing and rolling in the grass. And for you, that is yoga. Everything that we do at GEV was yoga. And that really clicked for me. So we won't ask you to dance today, but yes, that is a part of the practice.
Yeah. So like as they say, there's actually a verse that comes in the Vedic scriptures, no? The spiritual world with the Supreme Lord, where every word is a song and every step is a dance.
Mm,
So Ganam, Natyam, Gamanam, Vamsi. So the Lord is always dancing. So I guess that is the fervor, that's the mood that we carry.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much and everyone for joining. It's really fantastic to see everyone here. So carrying forward from what Gauranga Prabhu shared yesterday about the initiatives that we have in Govardhan Eco Village, I thought we'll focus on specifically the social initiatives. If we remember yesterday, Gauranga Prabhu spoke in social initiatives there's three S's: spiritual, sustainable, and social. So in the social initiatives, he talked about food security, he talked about our rural development, he talked about skilling, and he talked about quality healthcare.
Mm,
Today, I'm just going to talk about the rural development. I'm not going to talk about food security. I'm not going to talk about the skilling aspect. We have another initiative for that. I'm not going to talk about the quality healthcare that we have. I'm just going to talk about the rural development because this is something that I'm very much involved in. And just to give an idea how rural India or rural anywhere in the world, what are the elements needed to help people? We're just going to, go into a slide. But before that, I will ask your permission to start off with a prayer of grace, a prayer of expression of gratitude.
mm.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So I'm going to share a screen
And actually,
and
just before we go there,
yes,
thank you for the beautiful invocation. Just before we go to the slides, this is the thing with
sure.
all of the monks at Govardhan Eco Village. They're so eager to serve and to give and to share. And what we found is super important or super helpful is to get to know the speakers a little bit. So just before we jump into that, this beautiful slide deck, would would you just share a little bit, Hemarupa Chaitanya Prabhu, what brought you to spiritual life? Well, because I see you doing this for well over a decade now, living it. But what brought you here?
Well, I guess it wasn't something that you kind of know, like it's not like one day you woke up, look in the yellow pages, spirituality. It's not like that. So, well, I was just like every other kid. I was 19 at the time and I went to university. And well, I had a thing for social work. I had a thing about observation about society around me. Education was something that everyone had to do. If you don't want to become a bum in life, then they say that you had to study, basically. But there seemed to be more than just studying, more than just working, more than just living the cliche life that we have. So I was quite inquisitive, but I didn't know an option to it. When I went to university, I met some devotees of ISKCON, Hare Krishna devotees, said that, every Wednesday we have a Bhagavad Gita class. And I was quite intrigued. So Malaysia is a Muslim country. And although we were born in a Hindu family, we knew nothing of what we practice or what we are. So I knew more of Quran from my friends, more of the Bible from my friends, and I found it all very intriguing, And when the devotee said that we're going to teach you Bhagavad Gita, I was like, fine, and I started attending that. What really kind of caught me or amazed me was the philosophy of the soul, that we are not these bodies, that we are soul. So there's two different thoughts, The Eastern thought is that we are souls with a body, whereas the Middle Eastern or the Abrahamic thought is that we are this body with a soul. So there's
Mm,
a difference in that. Now we are the souls wearing different bodies. I remain eternal despite my externals. You can change anything, but I remain who I am. I is not this body. I is the soul that dwells within the body. Whereas the others, they may think that I'm this body and I have a Holy Spirit or I have a soul that's just, something like a badge or something that I have, but they very much focus on the body. I found this philosophy of Atma Tattva soul so comforting because it gives a lot of self acceptance. Like whole life, especially a teenager, we are so much into changing the way we look, changing who we are, changing just our perception, trying to make people attracted to us. Look at my skills, look at my education, look at my beauty, look at my lifestyle, look at the background I'm coming from. So much we are just trying to change the externals, but we forget we just have to accept who we are. We did not ask for it. No one filled up a form. I want to be a male. I want to be a female. I want to be born in this country, that country. We did not choose. We are who we are. Acceptance is the first part of yoga, where we actually open our path to linking, to accepting the grace from the divine. So this acceptance comes very powerfully through the philosophy of soul, where we know that we are not these bodies. Else we are so caught up, fat person wants to become thin, a thin person wants to become fat, a pale person wants to get tanned, a tanned person wants to get white. it's it's just, this whole game of life. So I found this very amazing to me, and I felt a need to go a little deep into that.
Wow, that's amazing. I want to hear so much more, but I'll allow you to to go over to your presentation. But please, as you're going through, the more that you can share, weave in your journey. That was beautiful, and I think our audience can tell now how great of a speaker he is. Please, Prabhu.
So just on the social initiatives that like Gaurangpur had shared, you see the world that we live in is getting vile day by day, right? It's just getting messy. So especially in the rural area, we realize that poverty is so high and a lot of people are having a lot of issues. So we have like these 7 initiatives that you can see on the screen trying to help people. And a lot of it stems in trying to improve their income because people are so dirt poor, literally, that they're just so caught up 24 hours, they're just thinking about money, 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 money. How are they going to even think about themselves? Like, who am I really? No, there's no introspection. So we have a system of by doing organic agriculture, year-round agriculture, where we tell the local farmers that you can plant 3 kinds of crops: short-term, middle-term, long-term. Short-term being vegetables, middle-term being flowering plants, and long-term being fruit-bearing plants. So they make this kind of uh, systems where they can do year-round farming. And in this, we saw a lot of farmers benefited from it. Like you can see a photo here, they have all 3 kinds of crops, short term, long term, medium term. We started improving the production, we started improving the diversity. Modern day, if you have a crop, you have it for 10 acres, the same thing, That's not natural. In nature, it doesn't happen that way. Nature, there's always variety. So we are encouraging people to live the natural way. I guess this a lot comes from the practice of Bhakti Yoga, where we try to connect back with how God or the Supreme Person has designed this world. And you can see on the top figure, commercial chemical fertilizers, they go down, right? Less fertilizers, more organic uh, farming. So we encourage that a lot. And there's a very interesting program that we have, which is called Seeds for Life. Seeds for Life, basically, we establish seed banks across many places to conserve indigenous seeds, right? To cultivate them, to commercialize them, to make the farmers independent. They have their own seeds. And it's a beautiful process. You can see here we have varieties of rice, like 60 plus different varieties of rice, 14 different types of pulses, that's dals and whatnot. There's so many varieties of tubers, and it is just amazing that God has created so much variety in life and everything for someone, for someone's health. You can see rice production, vegetable production, and we have this kind of seed plots. If you see this drone shot here, you find these patches of boxes. These are all different varieties of rice that is being grown, right? So that's quite amazing actually. different varieties of rice. So, and then we have some indigenous rice which was flooded in a flood for a week and none of the crops died. So they're so resilient because they're natural, that's how nature has made them. They're so resilient that even after being flooded for a week, they still survived. So like that, we have different rice varieties. And these are millets. Millets are very, very good. The amazing thing which I found out about working here with millets is that millets are so resilient. We want people to plant millets because millets do not need fertilizers. So automatically we have millet farmers. Basically, it's all organic. So millets are so very, very good, right? Tuber plots, different kind of tubers. And then we market them. We help the locals. We do a little food processing. Right? You can see this beautiful plate of food here. So one part of improving the farmer's nutrition is increasing their food plate. It's so sad nowadays that people eat very plain, simple things continuously, but a variety of different, increasing the size of the food plate. We have different sources of nutrients. So this is something that we did for the locals as well, right? Empowering the farmers. People say that how can you live without some fertilizers? So we have our bio inputs. This is a lab, a bioorganic lab that we have created. It's called 10 drum theory, where we create biofertilizers and using all natural stuff like chickpea flour, jaggery, and whey protein, whatever, all that, mix it together, some ancient traditional formulas which were there before, and get it fermented and fertilized and whatnot, and then put it into the field. So these are all tested stuff. These are called biofertilizers. They help to improve the vitality of the uh, farming. And water development. So, because I come from Malaysia and we have a lot of water, so I kind of take it for granted. When I came here for 12 years now in India, and my God, there's summers and the seasons, the 6 seasons, and rainy season is one of it, where it just rains for 4 months in a year. And I'm like, what? So water conservation definitely is a big, big aspect. How will you do farming without proper water? So we help people by creating varieties of water irrigation initiatives, right? Digging wells, digging ponds, and helping to create irrigation lines, storage tank, lift pumps, and different kinds of check dams and kunds, like small ponds. We have that. So all these kind of different things, we help the farmers. We do it for them, improving the irrigation of the land, improving the water, capturing rainwater, rainwater harvesting. We help that. And it improved the landscape. We've seen over time, it became more green, it became much better. Well pits, deep wells, desilting of ponds. So this is kind of the year-round activity that we do for our locals. And you can see the amount of work that we do here to help farming. So farming has to be backed up with water supply as well. Now, these are for the farmers. Now, what about their children? So children, quality education is very important. In the rural area, you will find so much neglect. Um, People don't take education very seriously. So we have our team who, we have an intervention which covers at least 10 years of the child's life in different stages. So we have different programs for maths, science, little electronics, and some non-academic exercises. Like I'm sure many of you have heard of Mensa. Mensa is a body of intelligent people, right, who are not academically intelligent, but they have some high IQ, right? They're creative. So similarly, we have an Indian chapter of Mensa. In that, we have a tribal chapter of Mensa, which is called Tribal Mensa. So there we tap and we find kids who are actually, they may not do well academically because they are bored, but they are very much astute and very creative. So they are also quite intelligent. So in all this, we learn, and we have camps, we have science fairs, we excite the children, show them models, get them to do presentations. Because in the rural area, children are very shy. They don't like to speak. If you come and visit them, they run away. So we try to do different initiatives to get things going. And these are beautiful initiatives here. In fact, right now, the school is going to come to a close because summer holidays are going to start. So throughout the year, we touch around 80 plus schools. That is about 9,000 students that we meet in various schools, our team. And now during summer holidays, we invite interested students to come to our Govardhan Eco Village, come for the summer camp, and they stay here for a week where they get a wholesome experience of a beautiful, beautiful, nurturing and holistic environment. And with spirituality as well as education, they get exposure to sustainable initiatives. And it just, this kind of exposure just really makes people think and mature nicely. We did a lot of testing and assessments to understand. See, this is so sad, if you look at this statistic, 17% of kids can do division. 17%, right, can do division, right? And 23% are on the digit level. They can understand digits. More than that, they can't. So these are all a little background work that we have done to understand what we are dealing with. And yeah. And we have another program in our education. So this is Vidyavan, where we, instead of just doing programs in the schools, we also do education programs in the villages. So we get a local village lady who's a little qualified, train her, give her year-round training, build up her capacity, upscaling, and then we ask her to take after school classes or before school classes, not like tuition, but more of like guidance. Some programs and all of this are curated, and she has it in her own home. It's more comfortable for the kids in her own locality. So we have before school, after school, as much as we can try to help the kids in the local area. And women's empowerment is something so important. Coming to India and seeing this farming, I could appreciate that 50% of the farming work are done by women. Practically, if you look at it, women in India run everything. They work, they farm, right? They bring in a lot of the household income. They do the household work. They cook, they take care of the family. Practically, women are doing everything. Question then comes, what are men doing? So unfortunately, men, because of bad social habits, they kind of booze, they drink, they get drunk. There's spousal abuse. All these kind of things are so sad. It's going on. We have another initiative. Is that I'm not going to talk about it so much. We are trying, which is anti-addiction, de-addiction. So we started de-addiction courses to help them come out of drugs and help them come out of alcohol. So women are so important, and we do a lot of initiatives. We have one thing which is called a wild forest food festival. In India, after the monsoon, after the rainy season, there's a lot of, in the mountains, in the jungle areas, there's a lot of vegetation or herbs which only appear in that particular window, that particular period of the year. And this is full with nutrition. They're known as forest food, right? So we have a festival of that, showcasing all the different items. And these are some stuff which the ladies, local ladies, they make, and we try to market them, give them some form of income. Uh, uh, this is an exhibition of the forest food which the locals collect. There's so much packed with nutritions, packed with different, benefits. So we're trying to get this all outside. There are people who don't have land in the village area. Not everyone has their own land. They are known as landless farmers. So for them, we get them machines, we get them carts, we get them a stall. Try to, become entrepreneurs. Don't just become laborers working for conglomerates or companies, but they can do stuff on their own. Become your own boss, basically. That's entrepreneurship. So like this, we put everything together. We have education, healthcare, women's empowerment, environment, rural infrastructure where there's no lights. We help with that, youth development, community engagement, water development. And like that, we touch many, many areas, thousands and thousands of people around our Govardhan Eco Village. And we are seeing how we can help the whole district, the whole area. And we like to very much thank our supporters, all these companies. We work on CSR, corporate social responsibility. All these wonderful companies have sponsored us. And we cannot, we cannot not give gratitude to our knowledge partners. These are the people who we work with, who help us in our designing our different initiatives. Out of the 17 SDG goals, sustainable development goals, we, through our initiative, have achieved 10 out of them. So this is in short our presentation about rural development. It's a very, very busy endeavor. but I would say it's very nurturing. So,
Wow.
Jack, we are back to you.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's such important work and such beautiful work. And even just coming to visit the Govardhan Eco Village, we can see that. We can see members of the nearby villages coming in and they're being employed, they're being empowered. And I see you, every morning we do our morning sadhana together. And then, in the day or in the evening, I know that you and many of the other monks are going out into these rural villages and just engaging in all of this work. I guess my first question, and we'll take Q&A here soon, help us, for those of us who are newer to Bhakti, help us make the link. Like this is clearly so inspiring and such important work. How is this practicing Bhakti? How is this work Bhakti?
So, as you can see from the presentation, the work can be overwhelming. Like you're dealing with a lot of intervention, a lot of people, a lot of energy. It's not going to be success all the way. There's so much emotions, financial, so much things involved. And sometimes, it gets over your head. You get overwhelmed by all this. But the work is so important, it must be done. So, bhakti is that art where we are connected to the Supreme Lord, connecting our souls, ourselves with the Lord, who is then connecting everyone, all the other souls with us. Bhakti gives us that sense of connect. Bhakti gives us that strength by which we can actually do what we need to do throughout the day. So, as Jack was explaining, that morning sadhana that we have, that is so vital. It actually gives us the strength to go through this whole endeavor, because a lot of this work is, you can say, selfless. You're not going to get much out of it. You're not going to get anything back from it. It's not going to be very inspiring every day. But when you, in your heart of hearts, when you know it's good work, it is God's work, it is a divine work. So it has to be done. So bhakti helps us to keep us on track with Lord in the center. At the same time, it gives us a lot of strength as well.
That's beautiful. Yeah, you can just see that, and I see that yourself and the other monks there are just so selfless, like so willing. If you sit down and I've said it before on some of our community satsang calls, but we'll just be sitting down and having our breakfast or prasadam or afternoon prasadam, and you just look down the line and it just seems like a bunch of really nice people like Hemarupa Caitanya, and then you learn their story and how they are engineers, and his partner, actually the one that Hemarupa Chaitanya works with a lot, is a nuclear physicist. There's corporate lawyers, there's MBAs, there's medical doctors, from people who are very highly educated and perhaps were on a positive material trajectory, and to see that you've given that up and given yourself fully to go out and you're out in the streets singing with these children or helping them with their education, and so and such hours. There is no day off. It's not like, hey, Saturday's my day off. It's 7 days a week, 365. And somehow, at least my observation is, through your morning sadhana and through the association, of course, of the devotees, that's like the nourishment. You don't need a day off to sit on the couch and watch TV. It's like every day you're filling yourself up and nourishing yourself with these aspects of bhakti yoga. Will you share a little bit from your experience, like because everybody's different and everybody has a different practice that they resonate with or they are drawn to. For you, what has been what is most helpful in your bhakti practice? Because those of us here in the West, we have a lot of other responsibilities. We're not full-time monks, and say we have a limited amount of time to do some sadhana. What would you suggest, or what do you suggest to the tribal villagers as, what, here's how to get started, and when you have a little bit more time, do this. Maybe just sharing a bit about, yeah, what you would offer, and perhaps what works best for you.
In bhakti, bhakti is actually very simple because bhakti means love. Actually, bhakti means the spirit of loving service. Love is an emotion, service is an action.
Mm.
So Many people can just say, that I love you, I love it. Oh, it's just lovely. But just saying. So it has to be transformed into action. And so what works then is not just saying it, but actually doing it. So for example, in our practice of bhakti, we start off by chanting the Lord's names. So the holy names of the Lord, like we do japa, right? We do a sadhana on our chanting beads. This is an action. At the same time, it's an expression also. That my Lord, I value your time. I value your presence. I take you as an important part of my life, and therefore I'm dedicating some time and effort into making that connection with you. So that's love actually, because if you think about it, as much as a mother sacrifices for her child, as much as a mother gives up time, she gives up whatever just for a child. Any parent, in fact, that's love. So similarly, we want to enter into a loving relationship with the Supreme Lord, then we need to give some time. So the easiest to start off is with chanting. That is the practice, but also we should not forget that we should understand the purpose. So after we are practicing chanting, we should spend a little time understanding, what is this chanting? What is it? What am I going to get out of this? Where am I going? Some knowledge aspect should also come in, because understanding is very important. Else it'll just become a ritual. Then it's not spiritual. If there's no spirit behind the ritual.
I got it. Well, that's very helpful. What would you, this is your life. Again, this is something you do every day, and you're in it completely. I'm curious to ask the question. I think you'll acknowledge it does happen, but do you still ever get triggered or flustered or angry? Like, these emotions come up, whether you were just at home in Malaysia with family. You're there with your parents and you have friends, and I'm sure it was beautiful, and it is for me when I visit my family, and sometimes, with those who have different beliefs or different lifestyles, can bring things up. So I guess my question is, does that still happen even though you've been doing this for so many years? And if so, how do you manage that? How do you not react? Or do you sometimes? I've never seen a monk yell at someone, but I mean, I don't know. Does it happen? Are you able to catch yourself and
Monks on a rage.
yeah.
So people have this thinking that, bhakti or spirituality means I'm going to be like that Baba and all om and love. And yeah, maybe that's there. But these emotions are not alien to us. Emotions are not enemies to us. Emotions are which we are. We are people. We are living beings, sentient beings. Therefore, emotions are very natural. But I would say that rather than becoming controlled by the emotions, we are learning the art of subduing our emotions. So when we become angry, for example, if something ticks me off, my previous response would be probably to just burst on the person, But now, with some practice, with some understanding, I'm a little, I get ticked off, but I'm like, okay, so what's the point with me blasting that person? Is anything going to change? No. Okay, fine, leave it. And someone from the external view may say that, oh, he's so good in controlling his temper. But they don't understand the flux that was going right inside, no? So I guess it doesn't mean that we become desensitized, or we lose our emotions. Or I can't really say that we are 100%, we do not get angry. And actually, there's no fault in getting angry. It's an emotion. But how you channelize your anger, how you channelize your emotions, because if the emotions, which is an energy, if it channelized in the wrong way, it becomes destructive. Like if you're really pissed off at a person and you just let it go, it's going to destroy your relationship, it's going to destroy everything. But we do get angry, we do get frustrated, we do get a little, but okay, we focus on the positive, focus on the bigger picture, look at the reality of this world, and then we move on.
Mm,
So the study of scriptures and the practice helps us to actually reinforce this. What Bhagavad Gita says as an intelligence. Krishna says one shloka which comes in Bhagavad Gita. This is the second chapter, 66 verse, 2.66. If someone likes to note it down, 2.66. Krishna says that, balance your emotions. Eva buddhe param buddhva samstabhi atmanam atmanam. Use higher intelligence. Eva buddhe param buddhva. Use higher intelligence to control your emotion. एवं बुद्धे परम बुद्ध्वा संस्थाप्यात्मनम आत्मना जहि शत्रु महाबाहो काम रूप दुरासुरम. Hey Arjun, fight, fight with the greatest enemy, which is lust, desires, and those things which make you, uh, kind of like, react instead of responding. So Krishna says like that, use high intelligence. High intelligence comes from study of scriptures, understanding things as they are.
Okay, beautiful. And will you help us understand? I mean, and not that we're trying to talk anyone else into becoming a monk, but help us understand your thought process in becoming a monk. Because again, you were a master's degree in engineering, working as a professor at a university on the path to live the Malaysian dream, and then and then you make this decision to give it all up and to become a monk. And it's, again, not that 99.9% of us are not going to do that, but what was it about bhakti yoga, or the greater, the people, the practice, what was it about bhakti that made you say, you know what, I'm going to give myself fully to this path?
Yeah, beautiful question. So none of us can imagine living in a world where everyone is an engineer, or everyone is a teacher, or everyone is a doctor. It's not possible. There's always going to be people of multiple professions, multiple, walks of life. So similarly, whether one is a monk, or whether one is a married person, there's always going to be a variety. People ask me a lot, no, why did you become a monk? Well, I say the job scope here is great. The retirement benefits are even greater. Right? There's no competition, there's no work competition, and no income means no income tax. So feels kind of good. So, but in reality, it was a thought in my mind when I heard about this lifestyle, when there was an option of this, I was kind of considering. I was like, you know, I'm there's enough of engineers anyways in this world, like one guy stops being an engineer, it's not, the world is not going to end. There's enough of engineers. But where are those people who are teaching life science, actual purpose of living, the science of life itself, who we really are? Where are those who are going to, explain people to how to come out of their bad thoughts and their downgrading habits? Where's that friend of society? So because somehow or other I had a little inclination for social work before, I guess, I kind of found this very palatable and very attractive. And I thought, let's give it a shot. I mean, I don't know what qualification or whether I'm qualified or not, but at least it's an opportunity. So I take it as a career choice. I take it as a path. And just like a doctor would be professional dealing as a doctor, a lawyer would always act as a lawyer. So similarly, I'm a monk, it's a career path. And we have people in the military, we have paratroopers, and we have special encounter specialists. Everyone has a different way, a different fatigue, and a different way of handling themselves. So just see me as a person who have a different fatigue and a different way of handling myself. I'm no different, no better than any one of you.
Beautiful. I love it. So inspiring to learn more about this. But we'll open it up Q&A. I see we got Sarah and George on deck, so let's bring it over to the UK. Welcome, Sarah and George.
Hi, nice to meet you. We've been listening to your lecture, it's been very interesting, and we're really inspired by what you're doing at the village, and we're obviously coming in November, so exciting.
Wow.
And I guess
I gotta say this. Let me just say quick. It's fun that you're coming in November. I remember I told Hemarupa Caitanya Prabhu last summer that, hey, we're doing this retreat and we're bringing our community, to the Govardhan Eco Village in November. And he's like, oh, great. So we'll see you in a few months. And I said, actually, it's November of the following year because I've got to finish school. And your reaction was like, I can't believe that people are planning, a year and a half in advance of coming to India. We don't even know if we'll be alive. I feel like you live so in the moment. It was actually so, interesting for you to imagine that people are like planning a vacation over a year.
Yeah.
But you guys are going to meet in
yes,
half a year.
we would have come that November, Jack. You just weren't going, so
Yeah,
we
exactly.
have to wait for you.
Yeah.
Exactly. I guess, yeah, exactly. We would have come. As I say, really inspired by all the work you're doing. Sounds amazing. Sounds like an unbelievable amount of admin and work to get all this done. So I'm sure there's a lot of people involved. I can imagine the levels of people must be huge. But I guess I was trying to bring it back to kind of more the householder in the West. So we're working, we've got kids, we're still in it right now. What are some examples of what we can do on a smaller scale where we are now, apart from obviously just giving you guys money and doing it there? What can we do ourselves in our local communities, I guess?
There's a saying that charity begins from home. So I guess, how we take care of each other, how we take care of our kids. Because somehow or other, I've seen a lot of social workers, not those who are connected to devotional paths, but those who kind of give themselves all out for society. And sometimes I see their family life suffer. Their kids, they are not, the guy is like worried about 1,000 other kids and he's not even giving attention to his own kid. So a lot of things we have to be quite real that charity begins from home, loving our family, respecting our family, giving the best to our family. It's a great service. That's what family life is about. So I guess from a small scale, you can see what inspires you. Like, is it education? Is it welfare? Is it health? Is it, just food security? Whatever it may be, you can find that niche. And there's two of you, there's Sarah and George.
Yep.
Now, you both may have a different flavor. One may go into education, other go into healthcare. So in your own ability, I started off by collecting clothes, old clothes for donation. Just going around getting people's stuff and then passing it on. I started also helping orphans. I used to volunteer at an orphanarium, an orphanage, teaching kids English or maths. And I've helped old people. So I've been to old folks' homes and helped. So this is all before I guess I didn't know what I was doing, but it's kind of something I was trying out. So I guess from your own angle, in your own home, you can practice nicely, love your family, and then reach out. Because what comes naturally, that's going to be the best.
Yeah, because I guess you're more likely to put your heart into it. I mean, obviously it's supposed to be devotional, it's supposed to be for Krishna, but obviously if you enjoy it, you're gonna be more inclined to do more of it, aren't you? I think.
All of us are individuals. God created us that way. And he loves the variety, and everything we do is right. Even if you think about water, if you think about food, if you think about education, it's all right. It's all beautiful. So we are lucky in Govardhan Eco Village. We have this format or kind of a ground where we have all kinds of initiatives, and someone can come, get inspired, pick and choose, and they may run their own thing perfectly, get inspired, take up a model, and just focus on one thing. That itself is perfect. You don't have to copy the whole mechanism.
Yeah, because it's like we create the whole thing in the UK. That's quite a lot of work for the two of us, but we could do something.
Yeah. When you run your computers, when you copy paste sometimes a large file, then there's like too much memory, it hangs.
Yeah.
So don't try to copy paste the whole thing, it may hang.
Okay, thank you. That's fantastic.
Beautiful. Nice. Beautiful question. Well, let's send some love, high vibes. Sarah and George over in the UK. Thank you so much. And actually, I'd like to ask a question on your behalf, and I'm going to spotlight one other dear friend, our friend Ian, just for a moment. I just happen to know, Hemarupa Caitanya Prabhu, that the three of these individuals here, Sarah, George, and Ian, they all have a copy of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavata Purana, like the full text. And, they're engaging it, beginning, actually, Sarah and George, for example, I've set the goal to have it completed by the end of this year, which is kind of amazing. Like, I don't know if that's gonna, like, all the purports as well. My question is, for the majority of us, like, that's a huge undertaking. And for me, like, I don't know exactly where Ian is with it, but I've got my set there, and it looks really beautiful. And how would you suggest to us? Oh yeah, nice, beautiful.
Thank you, Ian.
And
Thank you.
how would you suggest to us to engage? Because when we're at the Govardhan Eco Village with you, each day we can come to the Bhagavatam class, and we can just be spoon fed it from great monks like yourself. And if we're not, Sarah and George just happen to be at a stage of life where they can read for several hours a day and they're going to get it done in a year. For the majority of us, how would you suggest we engage in this text, or engage in the textual study of even Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah. So these scriptures are not like some modules that you have to finish quickly in some semesters or something like that. These are like lifetime scriptures, and as you go through them, it's so just amazing. It's like a journey. So we don't need to rush through them, but definitely a sense of accomplishment we do feel. We want to complete something, isn't it? So at least I'm not sure. Have you heard of this Bhagavata Subodhini, these guidebooks
No.
to Bhagavatam? Let me just get my book. So for Srimad Bhagavatam and for Bhagavad Gita, there's these beautiful guidebooks which are made by Gauranga Darshan Prabhu.
Aha.
And it is just, an overview of the chapters, an overview of everything, breakdown of the chapters, because there are just thousands of shlokas and hundreds of shlokas going on. What's actually happening? So he made it in table form and charts and whatnot. It's very easy to read. It's all in English. And it helps you really, get a bird's eye view of a chapter before you go into it. And that's going to be very helpful in your study. And I would suggest that when you read, and you can keep a notebook with you, when you find some statements which are just like, whoa, I'm sure it happens a lot, right? You're like, whoa, this is like, come on, where did this come from? Right? It really hits, it really resonates with you. You might want to underline it or just write it down quickly with the reference. Because these are the stuff that when you, after reading so much of inputs, we're going to forget a lot of it. But when we look back at those stuff that we noted down, we're going to, oh, yeah, yeah. And it could just be a one-liner. It could be just be a one-liner.
That's a great suggestion. Well, I'll get the link for that book, and we'll make sure we share it with under the description, all the details. And I wanted to, in a moment here, we're going to jump to Saraswati as well. Another question. There was a question on this. It slipped my mind, so it wasn't meant to be. Yeah, Ian.
I have a question for Sarah and George, actually.
Yeah.
In my meditation, because I heard you guys were reading the whole cantos, do you guys just read it together? Just read out loud? Like how you're unmute.
Yeah.
Sorry, we remuted ourselves. No, we're not reading it together. I started first because we've only got one copy, so we couldn't read it simultaneously.
Right.
So George is following me. We're just reading it separately, basically.
Okay.
So I'm a couple. In fact, I'm in 4 Canto 1 at the moment, so I'm working my way through.
And I'm still in the first book.
Yeah, he's taking his time.
I'm about I don't know 2/3 of the way through the first book.
Right.
So yeah,
It's a big one though, isn't it? The first one.
because I think you need 2 copies to be able to discuss it. But I mean, people can read it online as well.
Yeah.
It is for free online if you wanted to do that. But I prefer a physical book.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I just thought maybe you guys were like reading it out loud together and kind of talking.
No.
I was like, man, that would take forever. Like,
Yeah.
No, God, no.
but that's the beauty of it. Yeah. So
Good
okay.
question. No,
Yeah,
I remembered what I wanted to ask, and we will come to Saraswati. I wanted to ask you, Hemarupa Caitanya Prabhu. Actually, George asked this question just the other day, I think to Edwin Bryant, Advaita Prabhu, because you'd made reference to sometimes you're reading the text and you come to a verse, it's like, wow, and it really connects. But also sometimes in the Bhagavatam, we come to a verse that's like, what? Come on. Like it's so fantastical, or it's so hard to believe, or it can just be very confusing. What would you offer to us if we come across something like that? It's so hard to comprehend or believe, or how do you take these fantastical stories and how could we approach it?
My mind works a little weird. When I get stuck with something, I get stuck with something. So then I just, have to ask someone, or I quickly have my sources and I keep, hey, check this out. What is this about, So when I get caught up with something, I need to solve it. I guess it's part of the whole science background thing. Right? So when I get stuck up with something, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I'm not getting it. I can't move forward. I need to clear it up. So I keep asking. I have my contacts, my own group of people, some question answer group. So I post it there, I keep getting answers, check it out, do a little research. And that satisfies me. I have friends who do not work that way. They just see something like, oh, okay, not getting this. Leave it, next. There are people who just jump over. So that's also fine. but I don't work that way. I need to get it resolved. So I have people who I ask for. And therefore, if you get stuck, you can always just ask. Nowadays, with technology, there's no dearth of communication. I have people on messaging me on Instagram, messaging me on WhatsApp, just sending me an audio message. Prabhu, can you just check out first canto, second chapter, 35th verse? What is that about? And then I reply with an audio message. And that's it, no?
And truthfully, we could do that. Like Hemarupa
Yeah.
Caitanya Prabhu, he makes himself available if we get you his WhatsApp number or Instagram connect there.
Bing, bing, bing.
It's going up right now.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Ian here representing here in Canada, sending the love. Sarah and George as well. Thank you both so much. Great questions, great shares.
That's beautiful.
Let us bring it over to Saswati.
No.
We got a few minutes left. Welcome. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Beautiful.
Nice to meet you,
Where are
Prabhu.
you calling in from?
I'm from San Antonio, Texas.
San Antonio, Texas. Beautiful to have you here with us.
Thank you, Jack.
We exchanged some emails.
Yeah, I'm very happy to connect with this series, and I'm really blessed. Like you are conducting this series, and we are also getting some darsanas from Prabhuji's and sons. So thank you, Jack, for organizing this series. So Prabhuji, I have a question. Like as a household like person, as a mother, I'm always like co- engaging myself in the household things only. I'm really struggling to get some time to do chanting. I to read some like books or but sometimes whenever I'm cooking, I'm just chanting. I'm doing kirtanas, chanting the name. But how can I do my bhakti? But I'm not happy with doing that. Sometimes I'm thinking I should sit down. I should keep my mind really engaged with that. But I'm really struggling to get that type of time. I like to do, but I'm not able to do that much what I want. I'm always in that sometimes cleaning, sometimes cooking. So this is like
Yeah.
dropping kids, speaking. So how can I do Prabhuji this bhakti to continue this bhakti or to make more focus, engage myself with that bhakti?
Mm.
So
Good
we all
question.
go through different phases in life. And when we are in student life, we have a lot of time, but we have no focus. We're
Exactly.
just wasting time. And then we get into working life. We're all after the money. We have no time and we have just focus, just worried, And we get into family life. Then immediately no time for anything. So these are different phases. They don't last long. Don't worry about it. But at the back of the mind, we should kind of little organize and prioritize our things. In today's world, a lot of people speak about self-care, self-love, giving time to ourselves. Because if we are nourished and we are functioning to actually, be more wholesome in ourselves, we can do more. Like if you are taking care of your kids, but if you yourself are nourished, then you can take care of your kids even more better. So I'm really advocate self-care, self-love, and sometimes we need to prioritize it. It may be just for 15 minutes. Like if you chant 2 rounds of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is 15 minutes. So if you can get up 15 minutes in the morning, sit down and have your time with Krishna, and you'll get so much energy in that 15 minutes of sincere japa, which will give you energy throughout the day. You can play your kirtans throughout the day while you cook, no problem. But have your time with Krishna. Have your self-care, self-love thing. It's not selfish. It is just being, who you are. You take care of yourself, then you can take care of others. I think it's so important. I remember when I was studying in university, and I was doing a research assistant job as well. So, so busy throughout the day. I was thinking how to get time for chanting. And Malaysia is a Muslim country. So during Friday, they would have a longer prayer break, right, for their prayers. And I remember I would bring my japa mala, and I would, during university, I would just go to the fire escape because no one goes to the fire escape because there's hardly any fire, right? Sit at the fire escape, and for 15 minutes, because I can't be away from my desk, now this be Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. My most intense japa was at the fire escape in university. for 15 minutes, and people should not know, like, I mean, I didn't want to like openly practice. So 15 minutes and I'll get up and run out and I'm like, oh, yeah, I just went to the washroom. Yeah. Just bluff my way and sit down. So I guess these kind of things, stealing time for Krishna and making some time, it's so nourishing. It's just so exciting in your small adventurous life of how to get everything done. At the end of the day, when you lie down in bed, you're like, oh, Krishna, I made you priority. I put you first. Everything went smooth. Thank you so much. Tomorrow's another day. Let's try it out.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Wow,
Thank you, Hare
beautiful.
Krishna.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Saswati. Beautiful question. Let's send our love and appreciation down to San Antonio, Texas.
Thank you. Thank you,
Representing.
Prabhuji. Thank you, Jack.
Oh, thank you so much, Saswati. And yeah, Prabhu, thank you so much for your time. I wonder if just in these last couple of moments, what would you leave us with? What would you offer us? You've given many lectures over the years. There's many things you could talk on, and we just picked a few random topics today. What would you leave for us? What would your wish be for us? Is there a particular shloka from the Gita or Bhagavatam that you love the most that you would share with us, or just a piece of advice or suggestion? Please enlighten us in whatever way for a couple of minutes.
So I guess I would like just to say that spiritual life, bhakti life is so wholesome because we value the eternal aspect of this world. Everything else is very temporary. Everything else is so difficult, looks so important, working, education, family, but everything is so temporary. In fact, in just a number of years, we'll be long forgotten, right? No one will even remember who we are, remember our sacrifices, remember our achievements, so-called, whatever it may be. But God, or Krishna, he's that good friend, that real friend who's following us life to life and just that silent observer watching all our shenanigans and just seeing everything going on. But he's always with us. The friends in this world will leave us. They have no option. We have no option. But he's that person who will never leave us. So if we kind of put him in the center, then everything else in the relationship with everyone also stays, gets connected. Like we have an eternal relationship, me, you, Jack, me and you, we have an eternal relationship. But when we change his body, we will not remember it. But with Krishna in the middle, then, that eternal relationship stays eternal. So I guess in life, try to focus on the eternal, and the temporary is just something we have to do. It's our duty, It's just a duty. Just do it dutifully. Do your best. Leave the rest to Krishna. He knows best what can be done. Just function that way.
Beautiful. such words.
We're getting a lot of, we're getting a lot of advice to Shashwati about how to chant,
Oh, good.
Stealing time with Krishna.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, thank you so much. Hemarupa Caitanya Prabhu, we're sending our love and gratitude, appreciation to you.
One hour just flew like that.
I know many of the yogis here are going to be coming to see you in person. We'll be coming to visit you at the Govardhan Eco Village in November. And until then, wishing you all the best and really appreciate your time. For those who are watching the replay, we'll have some links underneath of that book, of ways that you can stay in touch with Hemarupa Caitanya Prabhu. And my friends, wishing you an amazing rest of the day. And in an hour, we've got another session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Blessings.
Hare